Hello, everyone. Coach Megan here, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about exactly how your nerves are causing you not to win, and of course, exactly how we can do the opposite and allow our nerves to be working for us. So with that, let's dive right into this week's episode.
Welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast, hosted by sisters, former Miss Nebraskas and a Miss Nebraska USA, and expert coaches Allie Swanson-Mancuso and Megan Swanson-Rhodes. Every Tuesday, we bring you a life-changing, challenging, and activating episode to help high-achieving women win their pageants, massively transform their mindsets, and dominate all aspects of life, including elements both inside and what most consider traditionally as areas outside of pageantry. Allie and Megan coach high-achieving women in all 50 states and beyond, and live to see women conquer their dreams. If you're not already part of our Powerhouse Club, join the fastest growing group of winning pageant queens on the planet, linked in the show notes every single week. Now, let's get on to this week's episode.
Well, hey everyone, super excited to be talking to you about nerves today. So we have all experienced it. Sweaty palms, shaky knees. If you're like me, most commonly my feet end up like sweating through my heels. And, when your foot is like this, your toes just like to kind of claw ugly over the side of your very cute shoes that no longer look cute because you look like you have like pterodactyl feet happening. So I really wanted to talk with you guys about nerves today because as y'all probably know by now, I am a psychology freak. If you could see the amount of books that I carry with me around my house, like in a literal box now, my husband makes fun of me because now 1 or 2 books is like literally not enough. I carry a box with me wherever I go and I read several books per day at a time. And so anyways, kind of funny. But I've dealt with nerves at my own level for Miss USA, Miss America, all the different times that I've competed. And as I've coached over the last 7 years, obviously learning, I shouldn't say obviously, because maybe it isn't obvious, but learning how to control your nerves is the starting place of what makes everything else go right. And why I love this never-ending study is because you're always going to continue to have more opportunities in your life to be nervous because hopefully you're continuing to stretch and grow your comfort zone, right? Which is really what that means. And so today I really want to talk about why do we get nervous? How can we stop it? And what's going on in the body? What's going on in the mind? Are those things connected? And how can we start to take steps in terms of the pageant world specifically to change these things? So kind of starting off, one thing that I found very interesting when I was researching this, and as I've read over the years just about this, is that as many of you guys know, but a lot of you probably also don't know, the body and the brain are so incredibly interconnected that it has a really hard time telling between whether something is an actual physical threat or if it's even a perceived emotional threat. A lot of times your body will have the exact same response as if it is a physical threat. There's an amazing book called The Body Keeps the Score that if you have not read yet is really incredible. And to sum it up, basically what the book talks about is that your body keeps the score of dates, certain seasons, if you drive by a certain street where something traumatic happened or where maybe one of your exes lived, it can take a long time for that to undo itself and for you to feel totally comfortable again. So first and foremost, I wanted to kind of set the precedent that you're not weird. There's not something wrong with you just because you're experiencing this for a period of time. In my life, I couldn't drive down L Street and 94th because of certain things that happened in my life because that was really, really difficult. And over time, when I realized that I was able to kind of undo that and redo what that street meant to me, or really what it didn't mean to me, didn't have to mean to me anymore. And I was able to kind of undo that. So we're going to start with, and actually before we start with this, the second part of this that I wanted to bring up as well is that our body doesn't know, our mind doesn't know either the difference between something that is a false or a real threat. So we have to do the work to make our bodies and our minds feel like something is not a threat even if it is perceiving that it is, right? So I want to give you guys some tools in your toolbox today. And by the way, if you're watching the video version of this and my video is kind of like wigging out, I got a new camera and a new setup and everything. So we're trying this out. But I think it might be the how wide my screen is, and it can't figure out what it wants to be when it grows up right now. So give me some grace for that, and we'll figure that out for next week. But anyways, so we have to figure out, even if something is not in reality a real threat, like I said, your body and your mind might think that it is. So it starts by figuring out why that's happening in the first place and identifying that. Okay. So first and foremost, let's start off with like, what actually is the definition of nerves technically? Why is it called nerves? Why is it called getting nervous? Because maybe you've never thought about that before. So in the body, a whitish fiber or bundle of fibers that transmits impulses of sensation to the brain or spinal cord and impulses from these to the muscles and organs. It is also defined as a person's steadiness, courage, and sense of purpose when facing a demanding situation, which I thought was really cool. An amazing journey that tested her nerves to the full, an example sentence. It also means, which I thought was dope, to brace oneself mentally to face a demanding situation. Pretty cool, huh? So as I was researching, I found this extremely interesting. Just typing in nerves, I literally typed in, what is the definition of nerves, okay? I looked on the whole first SEO page of Google, and guess what it talked about? It talked about nerves in relation to public speaking. And now I knew this. Like, I knew that public speaking was people's number one fear. It used to be my number one fear. It's even more than death for people. But it's crazy how literally all I had to type in was nerves, and the internet did its thing. And apparently people are so deathly afraid that there's some really, really great information out there. But kudos to y'all in pageants who do this every day, because even the people judging you and giving you a score for how you are public speaking probably could not do what you're doing themselves, which is always fun. So kind of fun to think about. Let's break this down first, and let's talk about how to build you back up with these fears. Okay. So this is coming from, I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due, by the way, the Natural Library of Medicine. So you want to look this up. It kind of breaks it down. What's actually happening in your head, your heart, and your body, different kinds of nerves, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The nervous system is made up of all the nerve cells in your body. It is through the nervous system that we communicate with the outside world. And at the same time, many mechanisms inside of our body are controlled. The nervous system takes in information through our senses, processes the info, and triggers reactions, such as making your muscles move or causing you to feel pain. For example, if you touch a hot plate, you reflexively pull your hand back, and your nerves simultaneously send pain signals to your brain. Metabolic processes are also controlled by the nervous system. So what does this mean? It means it's connected to your gastrointestinal system. Okay. If you have trouble, and this is like a bonus, okay, for a lot of y'all that guarantee you've never thought of this. So stress is so incredibly bad on your body. Okay. You have over 100 billion neurons in your body. They're separated into extensions. Some of them are called, the shorter ones are called dendrites. Some of them are called axons that are a little bit longer. Okay. And they pass through your whole entire body. There's three major parts of this. So two major parts, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. And then they split into the involuntary nervous system, which is the vegetative or autonomic nervous system. If you are a client of ours, you study the autonomic nervous system when we have you study the book that we do that we send everybody in the mail. And then there is also more of the cognitive, like frontal lobe, like what you're aware of nervous system, like, oh, I am aware of this stress flowing through my body, and I feel like I have rapid heartbeat right now, these different things. Okay. So voluntary and involuntary parts. However, whereas these two parts are closely linked in the central nervous system, they're usually separate in other areas of the body. Very interesting. The involuntary nervous system is made up of three parts: sympathetic, parasympathetic, and here's where I guarantee you haven't thought about this unless you're in scientific school. The enteric, which is the gastrointestinal nervous system. This is why, so like if you can't lose weight, you probably have a GI problem. You probably have an intestinal problem. You probably have a stress problem. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. However, I would encourage you to go to a doctor who can give you answers about this. There's a reason why, in my belief, homeopathic Eastern medicine type doctors are becoming more popular. You're seeing more dietary, nutrition, holistic anti-inflammatory nutrition type protocols out there, as well as bioidentical hormones, things of that nature, becoming much more normalized because people are sick and tired of being handed pills. Not that there's anything wrong, whatever. I don't really have an opinion about that. But I do know that dozens, as I get older, to be honest, dozens of people that I know, including my close relatives, have had their lives absolutely transformed by cutting out certain foods, getting on a protocol, and decreasing their stress. So let me just keep reading this. That's just a fun fact. So if you can't lose weight, you're probably stressed and you probably are eating the wrong things and you probably need to sleep more. And it probably has nothing to do with, no, I shouldn't say nothing, but it probably has less to do with how many hours you're working out and more to do with your stress. Because if your body cannot regulate itself, then, and if your gut's a complete mess, then obviously you're holding on to things because stress holds on to things. Yeah, like I literally know somebody that has so many GI issues and how do I say this in a vague way on purpose? They have gone through, some relationship stuff the past couple of years that weighs on the body and the mind, right? Whether it's being in a bad relationship or getting out of a bad relationship or whatever, right? Or maybe your parents got a divorce, or maybe you got, you failed a test and now you're going to have to do an extra semester of medical school. A lot of that can get stored in your body and stored in your gut in the form of a type of trauma. And your body holds on to that. Your mind holds on to that. And that can create nerves as well. Okay. Anxiety, all these things. So the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for bodily functions when we are at rest. It stimulates digestion, activates various metabolic processes, and helps us to relax. But the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems do not always work in opposite directions. They sometimes complement each other too. The digestive part, gastrointestinal nervous system, is a separate nervous system for the bowel, which to a great extent autonomously regulates bowel motility in digestion when you're healthy. Okay. You can have up to like 20 pounds of poop in your body. Sorry for talking about this, but you think about 20 pounds, like 20 pounds, right? And no, I am not saying go take laxatives, go take these different things. That's not going to solve the problem. Okay. You have to figure out why you're getting nervous in the first place. You have to figure out what's stressing you out in the first place. Who is stressing you out? Do you need to change jobs? Do you need to change friends? Do you need to change relationships? Do you need to move? What in your life is not working for you? I think we need to take a proper assessment of those things that are causing us to be the way that we are and be the person that we are. And to assess, like I have all of my clients do through our 7F framework, I have all of them assess on a weekly basis. How are you doing in each of these areas? So that they're not just looking at their life and like, my week sucks, my life sucks, my this sucks. I'm like, okay, well, let's tell a story why. Let's have black and white evidence of why you were or weren't ready for this. And let's make sure that you are ready so that you can thrive and not just survive. Okay. Because your body does get into survival mode, and that is part of the problem. Okay. Moving forward. So why we get nervous? Something in our body or our mind feels like we should be protecting ourselves from an external threat. Number 2, something consciously or non-consciously feels like a threat or makes us feel out of control, and we always want control. Number 3, we think fast sometimes and we think slowly sometimes. Okay. Our brains want to think quickly, especially when we compete, especially when our ego's involved, especially when we're outside of our comfort zone. We're assessing, we're looking around, we're thinking, what do I need to do to get on top? What do I need to do to survive, right? To thrive. And our brains are trying to think, okay, how can I calculate every possible obstacle in the moment? How can I win? How can I, eliminate the amount of obstacles or the things that could be unknown? That's what's happening when your brain's thinking quickly. Okay. But we must also have mechanisms and tools in our back pocket to know how to get ourselves to think slowly. Now, we need to also do that while we keep our energy high so that we can perform at a pageant. Let me break this down for you. What is a scenario that this looks like? Okay, I need to be able to think quickly to be able to process the language part of my onstage question, coming out with a fire answer that has energy, passion, conviction, lands the plane, hook, line, sinker, 30 seconds in and out, have the audience by the by the hair of their chinny chin chin, like just absolutely have them, right? But at the same time, I need to slow down the question enough to be present, to be listening, to be open, to not have my guard up, and to be able to actually understand what that MC asked me in that moment. So I have to be able to think fast and think slowly at the drop of a hat. And I will not do that if I'm nervous. If I'm nervous, I will only be in fast mode, which is how you can go through and be like, I forgot my entire walking pattern. I forgot everything I was going to say on stage. I forgot my introduction. I forgot my social impact pitch. That's why that happens. Okay. That is why we have to eliminate nervousness, and we have to work on our mental mastery framework. I have a mental mastery framework. It's like 10 pages long that I work on with all of my clients for that reason. Because if you're thinking in that moment, you're done. You have to have your autonomic nervous system working for you and get it to muscle memory, get it to a place where you're able to use your cognitive brain in that moment and say, what do I want to do in this moment? How do I want to look at the judges? How do I want to smile? How do I want to work the stage? Because you know that even at your worst in that moment, it's going to be the best, right? And it's going to be top 5 level or whatever. Okay. So how to stop being nervous? Isn't this the question? So remember that energy and excitement and nerves are 2 sides of the same coin. They're both a quarter, one's heads, one's tails. Okay. So acknowledging that helps you understand, okay, then I have a channeling issue, which is fueled by the thoughts that I think, the emotions I choose to feel, my ability to control my own mind. There's practical tools like breathing exercises. Okay. So how can I slow myself down by calming myself down? Another thing that you can do is you can tap on either side. You could do this, or you could do this with your fingers. It's a therapeutic exercise that can calm your brain down because it gives you a micro sense of control. That's a fun fact. Okay. If you're freaking out, use your psychology as well as your physiology. So like we just did, physio, that's your body. You could do some squats. You could jump up and down. You could skip. You could do something silly. You could just sit and, feel yourself in your chair, feel your feet on the ground, ground yourself, like quite literally. You can go to your happy place in your mind. You can imagine the greatest scenario. You can visualize you winning. You can visualize you answering the question perfectly. You can laugh. You can smile. Even just the act of smiling physically will change your mindset. You can distract yourself, not with electronics. So that's going to speed up your dopamine. That's not what you want necessarily in the moment. And then lastly, the mother of all is figure out why you're freaked out in the first place. And usually, to some extent, you're not prepared enough, to be honest. Preparation is the mother of all calm. It really is. Like, if I'm so confident in knowing every political issue, myself, my platform, everything I want to say, and I'm like, come at me. I don't think an 80-year-old is going to get nervous about being like, tell us about your life, because they've lived life. They've stretched themselves to such an extent that they're like, yeah, this is comfort zone level. Like, this is easy. Right. So get to that place and determine what is not currently there in your prep, and then go get there. Go get there in every area. Yeah, it might be hard work. Well, welcome to the real world. Welcome to winning. Welcome to beating people. Welcome to working harder than everybody else. That's how they got there. And you might say, oh, well, that's because they've been playing for, well, yeah, they picked up a violin when they were 5 and they're a better player than you. Their talent's better. So become better, do more, work as hard as them. Yeah, you might have to work 4 times as hard because you started 4 times later. But guess what? Do you want to win or not? Do you accurately have a concept of what it takes to win at the level that you want to win at? And that takes sacrifice. Okay. And so then the last thing that we teach all of our clients to do as well is you have to build a new habit that is oftentimes the exact opposite of what you've been doing. Okay. The exact opposite. You've allowed yourself to get to who you are, what you do, how you think to this very moment based off everything that you've done, thought, and thought in the past. Okay. The actions that you've taken, the thoughts you've thought, the feelings that you felt, the things you've said. Okay. And build a game plan, look back into your life and go through and say, okay, what does Megan do when she gets nervous? Like I said, do my feet sweat through my heels and it sinks forward? So I need to wear, padding in my shoes, or I need to wear a certain kind of platform heel where my toe is not like this, right? And scraping the floor as I'm walking. I don't want to have to worry about that. So, okay, well, now that I know that that's what my feet do, I can go buy some $10, foot pads on Amazon. Problem solved, right? Now my mind's not on what are my toes going to do? Are my feet going to slip out? Am I going to miss my turn because I can't freaking turn my foot? Or awareness, action, problem solved. Okay. So you can do that in any area. What do you do when you get nervous? Okay. Make an action plan. Begin with the end in mind, back up, do what you need to do. Okay. Become a better competitor. It's totally possible. And the ball's in your court. You can do it. Do you have a guaranteed routine and a routine set up for how exactly you will undo these bad habits? And if you don't, why not? How do you know that you're guaranteed to change if you don't have a guaranteed game plan? Okay. As always, if you want a game plan, set up a strategy call with our team. You will not regret it. And we will find a best fit program for you, or find somebody that is a best fit for the needs that you have, which could be something not in our arsenal. But we talk with people every single week and help to point them in the right direction. So set up a strategy call. We'd love to have you as part of the Powerhouse family. At the time of this recording, we have tons of free masterclasses coming out. We had a great paperwork masterclass a couple weeks ago. Great how to answer the toughest top 5 questions in the pageant game masterclass. So make sure, we'll put those links below as well. Make sure that you are joined inside of Pageant Winner Secrets, where you can get first access to these trainings. Hundreds of people are signing up every single week. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Powerhouse Pageantry so you can watch the video versions of these episodes. And with that, I will see you on a training very soon. Bye, guys.
Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode. This is Coach Megan, and I just wanted to say it is 2023 in terms of the next pageant season, and we have so many new things going on at Powerhouse. We have a new brand, we have new logos, we have a new website, we have new resources for you, so make sure that you click the link below. If you are not already part of the Powerhouse Club, figure out how you can save $300 per month and $700 overall by joining the best world-class pageant training in the world that you cannot get anywhere else. Intrigued? Click the link below, and we can't wait to see you in that. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we will see you next week.